And this is the update that we're going to film on the...
Wait, start over.
Okay,
Sorry.
completely over?
Huh?
Completely over?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. This is an update on our shop truck that I bought back when I was a high schooler. I think I was right out of high school, so 1987-ish, right in there. And this is an update on the 239 flathead V8. Updating it from the 6-volt positive ground system to a 12-volt negative ground system. You know, these trucks back in the day, you couldn't just go put different headlights in it. You couldn't just go to the shop and buy a 12-volt headlight and put in this truck, or it would not work. You couldn't go buy a car radio and put in there. Nothing would be compatible with these trucks. Fords, Internationals, Jeeps. The wiring system was completely reversed, polarity-wise. And this truck's just never been converted. Probably one of the only trucks that's still on the road today that's never been converted. So now it will be. This engine, this is a flathead Ford 239, and very common engine back in its day. This is what the hot rodders used to use to put in their, you know, if you think back to the 60s, kids in high school and whatever else, they wanted a fast engine. These V8s were the ticket. So you'd get rid of the old crappy 6-cylinder that was in your mom and dad's old Ford, and you'd throw this engine in there, and now you had 110 horsepower, you know, instead of 75. So it was a big upgrade, and they're easy to work on. There's just nuts and bolts. There's not a lot of technology that you can't figure out yourself. So they were very, very common engines. They're still common today in the car show scene, but because these engines only put out like 100 horsepower, I mean, this engine at most is 100 horsepower, the one that I have, which is not very much by today's standards. These trucks that we have in our parking lot are 300, 400, 500 horsepower trucks, but the nostalgic factor is high. I mean, this is the king of the 50s and 60s when it was in its day. Kind of took pride in the fact that it was still a 6-volt truck with a positive ground and a big generator up here on the top. And now we're finally, after 75 years, converting this to a 12-volt battery, and it's going to have a tiny little generator on the front. It looks like a generator, but it's actually an alternator, and it's going to have 2 carburetors on it. And that's just a project I've been working on kind of behind the scenes here. These are the wires in this truck. Back in the 50s, almost all cars had cloth wrapped wires. So everything you see fraying and falling apart here is just cloth wrapped around brass wires, just like you have in nowadays cars. Like this one, this has been replaced. But these things are just waiting to rub a hole in some part of the frame. Mouse could eat through them, and they just disintegrate. So we're going to be replacing the wiring harness in this truck, so it'll have a good generator system, alternator system. It's going to have a fresh battery. It'll have headlights that work properly. These headlights have always been super dim. The truck cranks over really slow, especially when it's cold. All that's going to be completely better. It's taken a lot of years to be able to, you know, kind of invest in what it takes to do this. I've been working on it about 3 weeks now. There's an upgrade going on to the intake manifold. We're going to end up with 2 carburetors on that. To do that, the old original generator will not be compatible anymore. So they've made this shorter version of an alternator that can work with this flathead engine properly. And down here in these buckets is the carburetors that are being cleaned. There's a chemical here that's just making all these carburetors like brand new, hopefully. There's going to be a lot of time behind the scenes getting them adjusted properly to run and perform right. Anyhow, stay tuned, and we'll have a video of that someday when we get this a little farther into the next step.